Hello. Uh, Hello. You are watching Barbershop Books Story Time. I'm Alvin Irby, founder and chief reading inspirer at Barbershop Books. And today I'm going to be reading a story. It's really funny. It's called Something Smells. And look at the cover. There's a little boy, and look what he's inside of. A trash can. Would you get inside of a trash can? I would not get inside of a trash can. It must be so stinky in there. Let's get into the story. Something smells. Early one morning, Elliot woke up to a most terrible smell. Terrible? That just means horrible. That just means really bad. And look, here's Elliot waking up to the sound, to the smell of something really, really bad. He looked around his room. And frowned. Something smells, he thought. And look at Elliot. He's even kind of like touching his nose, probably because it's so stinky. Look at his room. He has tons of stuff in his room. Can you see all the stuff that's inside of his room? He has a truck, baseball bats, and I think that may be like a basket that's full of toys. Can you see all the stuff that's in Elliot's room? A banana peel? Do you think that's what stinks? He checked under his bed, but it was perfectly clean. Is it perfectly clean under your bed? Now, does that look perfectly clean? What do you see? I see a baseball. I see a sock. I even see a pencil. Do you see those little, are they crumbs? I don't know. But Elliot says that it's perfectly clean under his bed. Was it a skunk? He opened the window. Let's take a look. There's Elliot, and he's opening the window. And look, his dog is even looking out of the window with him. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm reading a really funny story called Something Smells. And there's a little boy named Elliot who's trying to figure out, why is there a smell and where is it coming from? But their neighborhood smelled fresh, like fresh morning air. And this is what Elliot's neighborhood looks like. Can you see it? There are lots of houses, and it looks like there might have just been some snow. He sniffed Mr. Jiggles, but Mr. Jiggles smelt okay. He didn't really smell at all, Mr. Jiggles. I'll show you what Mr. Jiggles looked like. Do you see him? That's Mr. Jiggles. I'm not sure what Mr. Jiggles is. Maybe he's like a guinea pig? Or a pet mouse? It doesn't say. Pee-wee didn't smell. Pee-wee? Look, here's Pee-wee. I wonder what kind of bird it is. Do you know what kind of bird that is? Here, take another look. Pee-wee didn't smell. That's Pee-wee right here. Wednesday's snack didn't smell. Well, not very much anyway. Elliot could not find the smell that smelled. And here's his snack. Do you see it? It has a banana. That's, and then, is that a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Do you leave your snack in your house? I hope you don't leave your snack in your room after you finish eating it, because it might smell a little if you leave it for a really, really long time. Maybe it's Dad, he thought. So look at Elliot. He's looking at his dad and he's wondering, is Dad where the smell is coming from? For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm reading Something Smells. And there's a little kid named Elliot who's trying to figure out, where in the world is this stinky smell coming from? If you are out there listening, I would love to say hello. All you have to do is just write your name and then I'll say hello. Let's keep reading the story. But Dad smelled perfectly nice. So his dad didn't smell. Where do you think the stinky smell might be coming from? It wasn't any of his pet animals. It wasn't his leftover snack. There was no smell under his bed. And his dad, well, he smelled pretty nice. At breakfast, his mother scolded him. Not one more day in that costume, Elliot. Wait, so Elliot has been wearing a costume, I guess, for a lot of days. But he didn't want to take it off. It was the best costume ever. It glowed in the dark and happened to be the exact replica of his skeleton. A replica is like a copy of something. And his costume is an exact replica of his skeleton. So he's wearing a costume that's a copy of his skeleton? His skeleton are the bones underneath his skin. Everyone has a skeleton. You just can't see it. Because if you could see your skeleton, well, that wouldn't be good. Your bones are not supposed to stick out of your body. They're supposed to be on the inside. Can I tell you something? If you ever see your skeleton, you should go tell an adult right away, because your bones are supposed to stay on the inside of your body, not on the outside. So Elliot, in this story, he has on a costume. Now, it's breakfast time. You can't really see Elliot's costume because he's bending over the table reaching for the pancakes. Do you see? Let's see what happens next. Dog smell, he thought. But Digsy smelled like bacon. Oh, his dog's name is Digsy. That's a really interesting dog name. Little sister smell. But Lucy smelled like maple syrup. Elliot can't figure out where in the world this horrible smell is coming from. Everything that he thinks will smell stinky doesn't really smell stinky. I wonder where the smell is coming from. Where do you think the stinky smell is coming from? Here's Elliot. He's looking at his dog first, then he looks at his little sister. But guess what? They don't smell. Wait, did you see what they're eating? They're eating pancakes. Do you like pancakes? Because I love pancakes, especially pancakes that are smothered. That means covered in syrup. But syrup is really sweet. So I'm probably not supposed to put a lot of syrup because it has lots of sugar. But I love pancakes that are smothered in syrup. And look at Elliot's sister's pancakes. Do they look smothered in syrup? I think so. Let's see what happens next. He bet $1,000,000 jelly beans it was the baby. Are babies stinky? Some babies can be really stinky, especially their diapers. But Lilac, that's his little sister, smelled like baby powder. So his little baby sister didn't stink. She just smelled like baby powder. Look. And here's Elliot smelling his little sister's diaper. Would you smell a diaper? Ugh. Was it the cat food? Do you think it's the cat food? Is the cat food stinky? Nope. It's not the cat food. You see Elliot? He's trying to smell the cat food to see if the smell is coming from the cat food. For all of you who are just tuning in, I'm reading a story called Something Smells. And there's a little boy named Elliot who's trying to figure out where in the world is the stinky smell coming from. Let's see what happens next. Maybe it was the trash. Have you ever smelt a trash can? Was it stinky? Well, guess what Elliot is going to do? He's going to try and smell the trash can. But all he found was some old Halloween candy. What was that terrible smell? So when Elliot looked into the trash can, all he found was some old Halloween candy. Do you see it? Do you see the old Halloween candy? It's way at the bottom. But it didn't smell. So Elliot doesn't know. It wasn't a skunk or Digsy, that's his dog, or Lucy, who's his sister. It wasn't the trash can or Pee-wee, that's his bird, or even the baby. That left only one thing. Grandma's favorite. Ew! This cannot be a real soup. This cannot be a real soup. Look at all the gross stuff that's in this soup. I see a bug. I see some cheese with holes in it. I see an old apple, an egg, a worm, fish skeletons. Would you eat soup that had all of those gross things in it? Would you eat soup with a worm? Oh, that sounds gross. Do you know what's in his grandmother's famous soup? Neither did Elliot. But that wasn't the smell that smelled. He looked up in the attic. Do you think there's a stinky smell in the attic? And down in the basement. And every place in between. So Elliot looked everywhere that he could think of to see if that's where the smell was coming from. Do you think the smell is in the attic? That's at the top of the house. Do you think the smell was in the basement? That's at the bottom of the house. Where could the stinky smell be coming from? Maybe it's from his toes. Have you ever smelled your toes? Are they stinky? I don't know. I've never smelled your toes. Let's see where else he looks. Not one more second in that costume, young man, said his mother. It's time for a bath. Wait a second. I wonder how long Elliot has been wearing his costume. Remember, his costume was an exact replica of his skeleton. Do you see it? It shows all of his bones. But his mom says that it's time for him to take off his costume and time for him to take a bath. What would happen if you wore the exact same clothes for 2 days? What about if you wore the exact same clothes for 1 week? What if you wore the exact same clothes and you never washed them for a month? What if you wore the exact same clothes and never washed them for an entire year? Do you think your clothes would smell really fresh and nice and clean? Or do you think your clothes would smell terrible and stinky if you wore them for an entire year and never ever washed them? Well, I think that maybe Elliot has been wearing the exact same costume for days and days and days. That's why his mom said, not one more second in that costume, young man. It's time for a bath. And look, there's his mom telling him that he should go take a bath. Elliot was disappointed he had not solved the mystery of the terrible smell. And look, here's Elliot getting ready for his bath. Do you see him? And even his dog Digsy is there. And here's his mom with his outfit. Wait a second. Look at his mom's face. How do you think his mom feels about his costume? She does not look happy. And look at his costume. Do you see the little squiggly line coming off? You see it? It's right here. I think there may be an odor coming from Elliot's costume. An odor is just like a terrible smell. Let's see what happens next. Something smells, said Lucy. Something smells, said Grandma. Something smells, said Dad. Smoke, said Lilac. That's the baby. She can't say like whole words yet. And look, everybody in the house is saying that something smells. And look at his mom. What is she doing? Take a look. She's carrying Elliot's costume to the washing machine. So, where do you think the stinky smell is coming from? Elliot lathered and scrubbed and soaked, and when he was done, something swirled right down the drain. The terrible smell was gone. Wait, so after Elliot took a bath, all of a sudden, the terrible smell disappeared. So where do you think the terrible smell was coming from? Elliot looked everywhere in the house. He looked outside, and he couldn't find the terrible smell anywhere. After his bath, Elliot was excited to put on his new sea monster pajamas. They were the best pajamas ever. They had actual scales and big scary claws. They felt so good. Do you want to see his new costume? Well, there it is. And you can even see the claws and a tail. Wow. Those were Elliot's monster pajamas. He was never ever going to take them off. Uh-oh. Do you think that Elliot should wear his monster pajamas and never take them off? What do you think will happen if he wears his monster pajamas for a really, really long time? Well, guess what? That's the end of the story. So I guess we'll have to use our imagination to figure it out. Well, thank you so much for listening to today's story. This really funny story is called Something Smells. Until next time, this is Barbershop Books Story Time with me, Alvin Irby. Bye.